We go.
Hello, hello. Are we frozen? Am I frozen? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
really
hear you.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Hello, guys. We have another episode of The Organized. We have a great lineup for you today. Looks like I'm having a little bit of a slow video, but I think everyone can hear me. We have a great lineup. And here today we have Off My Lawn from Zest Protocol, Noam from Stacking DAO. We got Rash coming to talk about both Boom Wallet and Velar. Special guest appearance, surprise guest appearance by a great friend of the show, Jack Binswitch, and of course, my awesome co-host, Haddy. And we're going to be having a bunch of great conversation about DeFi on Stacks and all these awesome projects that are out here today. And I'm going to start with Off My Lawn. Off My Lawn, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. It is another sunny day here in Florida, and had to mow my lawn at the peak of the heat of the day. But I consider it a workout, and it keeps me in shape. So we're overall bullish.
Very good, very good. Noam, you're out in Italy. How are things out there for you today?
Doing great. Like Italy is the best country, in my opinion. So cannot complain about living in Italy for sure. And excited to be here together to talk about stocks and what we're doing to the ecosystem.
Awesome, awesome. And Resh, how are things in the Boom and Velar world going?
Things are going fantastic. Vela is just doing strength from strength. I think everybody can see that. The other
Yes.
thing is I'm just helping out Boom at the present moment in terms of what they're building. And it's a fantastic team there. And I think after what Telegram went through, something like Boom is much needed, especially built on stacks and Bitcoin directly. Yeah, I think
For
personally, I
sure.
couldn't be more bullish.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. What's going on with Telegram right now and what the establishment the corporate establishment and the corporate ruling class is doing with trying to force backdoors into every platform through the ostensible the excuse of fighting crime is actually disgusting. Free speech was a fundamental part of the creation of the United States for a reason. It's because when you censor speech, then those who are in control of in control of determining what's acceptable speech can basically just run everything. And they are actually the sources of disinformation. So thank you for mentioning that. We're going to talk more about that today. Jack, how are you today? Thank you so much for making it. I'm super excited to have you with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. I just want to take a second here and point out just how closely Resh and I look alike. Like we look like we're a close family, and that you look like our cousin. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is
You guys could be. I wasn't going to plug the Node Rocks, but you guys could be yin yang inscriptions right now.
right. Like you make friends from all over the world just to find people that look just like you. It's wild.
Yeah.
So, great to be here.
It's kind of like another version of you attract what you put out there, right?
That's it.
Happy to be here with such fine looking gentlemen today.
I'm telling you.
Haddy, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, Haddy's very busy today. He's got a lot going on, so he might be multitasking. So, you know what? I wasn't actually thinking about talking about the Telegram thing, but I think that's actually very topical and very important. And it does tie into what Boom is building. So, Resh, why don't you touch on exactly what what it is with Boom that might be providing some alternatives to, or some safeguards against such things in the future for humanity, actually.
Well, so Boom initially, well, Dan is a behind Boom, to be honest. So he's actually looking to build utilizing Noster and using stack smart contract capability on it. Now, Noster on its own can't handle complex smart contract functionality. He has found a way to link stacks into Noster, so it'll allow people to do commerce on Noster directly. You can think having a Web 2 version of a store on a Web 3 platform directly on Bitcoin. So that he has done. We are also looking at, well, he's actually looking at
So he already,
potentially
I'm sorry, let me, not to cut you off, but he's already figured out how to incorporate that with Noster?
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the key features that we are building uh, beyond just making it a Boom, being a wallet. So the feature right now is going to be when you use it as a wallet, like it could be Lather and it could be something like Xverse, the initial version. But then you can open a store on it as well. So you can have something like a potentially you want to have your own store for an Etsy store, you can do that. So that's another functionality. Nobody can close it down. Neither us can close it down or anybody else can close it down. So that gives you freedom of operating from anywhere around the world. If you look at transactional costs across the globe of having a Web2 business, I know this because we've done extensive research into this. There are places where people pay between 10 to 15% of their profit just to get their money converted to the local currency because they get paid US
Right.
dollars. So that's insanity.
And that's insane. Yeah, it is. That's nuts. It's not functional. That's not a functional. It actually prohibits transactions. It slows down economics. So allowing these people just offering something where the money, it doesn't cost you that much just to transact, would be a huge economic boom, like an economic generator, because it would allow so much more money to be freed up. And that is awesome. I know actually Dan's got his Nakamoto Fridays, and he's specifically talking about Noster tomorrow. I saw he posted about that yesterday. So I'm sure that must be tying in there, though. I know that I played around with the alpha version of Boom, but only a little bit because I couldn't figure out even how to get funds on there. But I did have to put my Noster to set up my wallet. I had to put in my Noster key, my public key, which was a little tedious because I couldn't copy and paste it in there for whatever reason. So I had to type out that whole long public key. But I can see, so he has he's worked in Noster communications functionality onto Boom.
Yeah, so actually Boom uses Noster as a trunk chain. If you think of Noster being the brain and stacks being the capability of allowing people to build on it, that is much more easier to understand. Just think, the way I would explain is like he has a number of different functionality. One of it is going to be a chat functionality, in-app chat functionality down the line. So you can actually communicate with another person directly from your wallet and discuss what you do in Telegram, for example. But you can do it directly from the app. Now that's important because it provides, if you think about WeChat, there's no such thing as WeChat right now in the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Right.
You have faster communication on its own, but people find it so troublesome. It's seen as a maxi item. I don't use Noster, if I'm honest to you. I prefer using Telegram and WhatsApp just because of the ease of usage.
Right.
Whereas if you think about how can you combine utility of I want to use it constantly, you got to find a way to use like how you use the internet. You have communication and you have transaction. If you combine both of these things together, it becomes really powerful. So that's what I think Boom is going to change a lot of things in the game, a grand scheme of things here. So he's actually working like 18 hours per day, I think, at the minimum. Guys hardly sleeps. If you know anything about Dan, he doesn't stop until he figures out how to fix a problem. So
I've only known him for a little while. But he's actually been on the most episodes of he's done a space with us, and now he's been on 2 podcasts. We did a BNS podcast yesterday, and he participated in that. And he's been super approachable and helpful, and like if I have questions about what he's doing, he explains them, or even if there's other stuff, like he's going to teach us about how to use Nostr a little bit more tomorrow. Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and I love what he's building, and I know he's always talking to like everybody else too that are building stuff. He's doing a tremendous stuff with Boom, and I'm super excited to see what's coming out of it, because I think that there's a lot of functionality, usability. Like, so you touched on the something's got to be usable and useful, right, for it to be adopted. So if nobody's going to use it, if it's not easy to use, then even if it's useful, it's not usable. People aren't going to use it. They're going to continue using like WhatsApp or Telegram. But Boom also, it also is kind of like you said, an Etsy store or like an eBay type of thing, or Shopify, like a decentralized Shopify. But it can't be closed down, because like nobody can close your store down on you because it's decentralized. So I'm assuming that there'll be functionality there for decentralized crowdsource funding or whatever else you might want to build on. Somebody might want to build out on top of it.
Yeah, you can build literally anything. If somebody wants to open a music store, for example, they can do that. If you want to open a normal Web2 function store of selling a physical product, you can still do it on it. If you just want to sell digital products, you can do it on it. It's literally decentralizing commerce to the most fundamental level. So I think that's crucial right now, because like I said, one of the biggest challenges I have when I spoke to people, the user group I helped ask about is based in Africa. A lot of communities that were saying that, yeah, by the time I get paid, I get involved in transaction changes, and I can't accept anything in US dollars. I got to convert it into Rand. I lose about 15%. And I'm thinking, how the hell do you do business? He said, yeah, you just get your brand out there. You just hope something works. So that's the biggest challenge a lot of these entrepreneurs face there.
You probably don't even have a 15% market profit margin on most businesses. I mean, especially if you're competing with somebody that doesn't have to actually deal with that exchange rate or that loss of that kind of slippage in exchange rate. That's insane. It really is. It's nuts. This is great, but I don't want to. We had other guests here, so I just want to make sure that we're getting everybody a chance to chat and get everyone in the conversation. Noam, Stacking DAO. What's up with Stacking DAO? What's new with Stacking DAO? What can you tell me?
So, like up to now, I would say that we've been mostly focused on unlocking liquidity within Stacks DeFi ecosystem, simply because before Stacking DAO, people had to choose between stacking, so locking their tokens to earn a yield, and DeFi. But now with Stacking DAO, people can deposit STX, mint STX, which can be used in DeFi, while earning up to 10% in stacking rewards. So what we've been doing the last months is integrating Velar, Zest, Zest, PeaceLoveMusic, and all the different protocols, so users can start earning stacking rewards and also yield on Zest, Velar, and other protocols that I mentioned, and points. And instead, what is coming on Stacking DAO, we're gonna soon release a blog with the roadmap for Q3 and Q4. Let's say more Q4, sorry, of 2024 and Q1 of 2025. And so I cannot share a lot right now about what is coming, but I can tell you that the next few months are gonna be filled with important announcements from Stacking DAO side. And but if I had to describe in one sentence what Stacking DAO has been doing up to now, is unlocking liquidity for stacks, which is super important to attract new users, create new use cases, help DeFi bootstraps, let's say DeFi protocols bootstrap themselves, and which has helped a lot of stacks in the last 8-9 months, I would say.
Very cool. And just to kind of step back for people that aren't really familiar with what that means. With stacks, sure. If you're holding stacks, you can stack your stacks with a stacking pool and earn Bitcoin yield. But those stacks are locked up, so you're just earning Bitcoin yield. And it's actually a pretty good yield in most places right now. I think it's like it is Correct. Actually like 9%, something like that.
Correct.
Awesome yield on regular stacks. But those stacks are locked. So what Stacking DAO has introduced is you can actually stack your stacks with Stacking DAO, earn a little bit higher yield, but you're also getting liquid staked stacks that you can then implement into other DeFi projects like Velar or Zest Protocol or other DeFi platforms on stacks. What I'm not positive. So when I mint, that's all correct, right? What I just said. That's basically
correct. 100% correct.
When I convert my stacks or stack my stacks with Stacking DAO, I get equivalent stacked stacks or liquid staked stacks, I think is what we call it, right? And so let's say I put 100 stacks in, I get 100 ST stacks, and I can use that in DeFi, and it's earning yield. So that ST stacks was created at that time and is earning a percentage reward. So if I go and convert that amount of stack that back to unstake it and take my stacks back, I'll get the yield based on how long I held that ST stacks. Is that also correct?
So this is a bit different. So I'm gonna explain exactly how it works. Just wanted to close what you were saying. I think before, so everybody knows Lido on Ethereum, I would say, and you can think about Stacking DAO as the Lido for stacks. So Lido, as you said, like, has unlocked liquidity for Ethereum, and Stacking DAO is doing the same for stacks. But getting to your question, the way it works is that if you notice when you mint STX, after every cycle, every stack cycle, you don't receive STX or BTC directly in your wallet. What is that? All the staking rewards that are in BTC gets converted to STX, and they get deposited in the STX smart contract. So this is a bit technical. So what happens is that every cycle, the STX value increases respect to STX. So it's not true that if you deposit 100 STX, you get 100 STX. It depends on the value of STX at that time. So to make it clear, let's start from when Stacking DAO launched, 1 STX was equal 1 STX. But after one cycle, what happens that we receive the staking rewards in BTC, we convert to STX, and we put it in this smart contract. And now one STX is equal 1.01 STX. Every 2 cycles, the value increases because simply we deposit the rewards in the smart contract. So when you decide to withdraw, you're gonna withdraw the STX you deposited plus all the STX in staking rewards that you accumulated over time. So it's a bit different from other protocols. Let's say.
So it's so the value of the value of the STX is always increasing against STX. So if I trade for STX on the market, it's probably going to cost me more to trade for it a couple months from now because the value of it is always going up with the yield.
Exactly. The value goes always up simply because the smart contract that back STX holds both the.
I lost you. I think I lost you. We lost audio for you.
Yeah, 1 second.
mic on. I think my mic.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay, yeah, my AirPods, I don't know why, they just decided to disconnect for a few seconds. Okay,
No problem. I
me?
can hear you. I can hear you loud and clear now. So we understand what Stake Stack or ST Stacks does. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now, guys?
Yes. I don't know if he can hear us. Well, we'll get back to him when he comes back on. This is actually so I think it's really cool. Actually, my next question for him was going to be, where's the best place to put his STX? What does he think is the best place to put that in? We'll ask him that when he comes back. And great time to segue to Off My Lawn. Brother, how are you? How's things at Zest? Are you feeling zesty today?
My friend, I get zestier by the minute. And to answer your question to Noam, the best place to put STX, in my humble opinion, I'm not biased. I believe you should deposit your STX into Zest Protocol, because get this, you're going to earn 150% bonus on your Stacking DAO points. You're going to earn 1 Zest point per day per dollar deposited, and you're going to earn additional APY on your STX deposit. That sounds like a lot of benefits to me. I don't know about you guys, but
that makes a good argument. That makes a good argument. I'm sure we might hear some contrary arguments, but that does sound great. 150% return plus Zest points, $1 point per dollar per day sounds like a pretty attractive offer to sit my ST stacks there. And so for those that don't know, why don't you explain to us a little bit what Zest Protocol is doing?
Of course. So currently we have our Stacks Money Market open, which if you've ever used Aave, the DeFi protocol, the borrowing and lending market, we're basically Aave but on Stacks. So you can deposit your idle Stacks assets, borrow against them, earn interest on them. We're kind of like an on-chain savings account of some sort. Our flagship product, which is going to be an on-chain permissionless way to earn yield on your Bitcoin, will be launching in Q4 of this year. And there may or may not be an announcement about that next week. So you might want to stay tuned for that. But that will be our flagship product. That is what we're most excited about. And that's kind of why we formed Zest Protocol. So they're very much looking forward to that.
Definitely sounds super interesting. And yeah, I can definitely see, especially down the line in the future, as people become less and less interested in selling their crypto in general, and especially Bitcoin and stacks, that it makes sense to borrow against them, and just kind of keep refinancing it over time, as long as you stay within your comfort zone and don't get yourself liquidated. And actually, that's something we were talking about with the reason. So we actually tried to put this panel together a couple weeks back, and Dan made it, and Noam had some technical issues. I'm glad he actually was able to get through this time. I'm sure he'll pop back on when he's ready. But one of the things that had actually been spurred out of it was that Dan was talking about possibly some kind of communication. I don't know. I think there's an Oracle piece that's missing. It wouldn't be able to just be on the wallet side, and it wouldn't just be able to be on the app side, but maybe something where there's some kind of warning in the wallet, or some kind of, you could even set it up so that you're monitoring your loan. It's a 50% threshold, right? Loan to LTV. So if I'm borrowing against my Bitcoin, I have 1 Bitcoin in there, and the value of Bitcoin was $50,000, and I borrowed $10,000, and the value of Bitcoin goes down to $20,000. I've reached my threshold and I can get liquidated. So maybe some kind of feature in the wallet can be set up where the user even sets it up where, it's monitoring the status through an oracle, pulling that data. And if it gets close to a certain threshold, the wallet automatically adds liquidity to get them out of the danger zone from getting liquidated. And I think tools like that would be able to open up more functionality and open up more access to more people to be able to be protected against such things, so that they're, you're not, obviously the fear of getting liquidated is going to prevent some people from utilizing these tools, right? So I could absolutely see something like that being very useful. But that was the kind of conversation that spurred having these panels and having this kind of focus group almost from Dan. Having a conversation.
You can do auto setting of automatically adding liquidity if something hits 50% threshold, for example, because you got to sign the transaction. So if you do not sign the transaction yourself, it will require some form of centralization somewhere, and that's a little bit risky because you're giving the power somewhere else to make the decision.
Right, or AI. If there's some kind of AI that can sign on your behalf, but then you're also who else may be able to get access to that AI and take it over and cause problems. So it's not as simple as what I'm saying. These tools are definitely down the line, but it's very interesting that there are ways, there are people that are working on these problems, and that's what we need more of in this space is the capacity for lower level non-tech savvy users to have an easy and safe user interface to make it go. So let me actually, I know Noam's back. I'm not sure if he can.
Can you hear me all right now?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear us okay?
Yes. I don't know what happened. Like suddenly my audio stopped working. I could see everyone talking or whatever, but couldn't hear or speak.
Yeah, we're still in the, the tech space is not perfect, right? We're broadcasting on a bunch of different socials at the same time, and it's a tremendous app, but nothing's perfect yet. Same thing with like the spaces on X. People get rugged.
Yeah. Oh man, don't get me started on Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, it's a very similar. The last couple of days on Spaces, I can only talk when my mic is muted for me. So if I leave my mic actually muted, everyone can hear what's going on in the background. I don't even know. Well, and then I have to unmute it to be muted. So it's just stuff like that just keeps happening. So we're all kind of experienced with that kind of stuff. So it's not the end of the world. We're easy here. We're not stressed out a little bit of time.
I know. I like the podcast also for this.
Yeah, and we'll just have you guys, if when somebody drops out, and we're going to do this again, and you guys are all welcome to come on and chat whenever you got something to talk about. We're happy to have you all here. So this, and we don't want anyone to be anxious about technical difficulties, because we know that that's just the space we're in. So more power to you. We're happy you're back, and don't sweat the small stuff.
Thanks.
So let me off my lawn. Anything else about Zest? I know you guys. What's coming with the points? What are you going to give me for my points?
I'm glad you asked. So this is a very good question, and I'll answer it the way that the BitFlow boys. I'll answer it the same way the BitFlow boys answer that similar question. That's a very good question that should have a very great answer to it.
It is. So when you guys we'll have to have you back on when you guys have a very good answer to it.
but right now, points are used to basically track user activity on our platform. So the more points you have, the more loyal you are to Zest, and blank.
And
Like,
maybe something else. Maybe something else.
Maybe something else. We'll see. And also today, you can now earn a multiplier on all USDC and STX deposits. So you'll earn 2 times the Zest points for all deposits. That's retroactive. That's for new
Nice.
deposits. All deposits. Everyone gets a bonus.
So 2 times all deposits, and that's through when?
To infinity and beyond.
Oh, so you're just doubling the rewards now?
That's right. That's
All right. Competition's a great thing, right? For the consumer.
Keeps us on our toes.
And so what's Stacking DAO has points too, right? What's going on? What's
so
going on?
I was about to say this, but they want to interrupt you. I'm gonna answer the same way offmylawn answered. So, like, let's say that points are to understand who is actually contributing to the Stacking DAO ecosystem, and rewards are, I mean, it's gonna be rewards for these points, but cannot say much more on this yet, I'd say.
And I think we all kind of know what it's going to be, right? And actually, Resh, you wanted to talk about Velar too. Velar has. Is there a point system on Velar?
We used to.
I know
We used to have a system, but once we had our own token launched, we no longer did a point system because it didn't serve the purpose. Once we had tokens there.
So the points rewards were basically for when the token launched, the people with points got token rewards for their points.
Yeah, it got converted to a certain ratio. They got converted there because there needs to be a way to, well, the way Velar did was it needs to be a way to reward individuals to take the who first come and use the service, to be honest. So they use more, they get points. Then at some point, that points got converted to tokens.
So the points aren't just to incentivize people to use the product, but to incentivize them to use it honestly and to the benefit of the community that's using the project overall.
Yeah. If it's just another way of incentivizing the community. I mean, that's how Velar did it, to be honest. It's very difficult to incentivize people in a testnet phase when there's no token yet, or when you're very early on, you're still waiting to launch your token. There needs to be a mechanism in place to, one, allow them to keep track in terms of what and how much they have contributed to the platform by using the platform. Two, it creates a gamification of the entire process, to be honest, which is very good in my personal opinion, if done right. And three, it's just fun way to, I got more points than you got more points than me, and down the line we don't know what's going to turn into these points. So it's a bit of game of mystery there. So I think, yeah, I'm waiting to see what happens with Zest and Stacking DAO, to be honest. I'm pretty sure they have something really nice cooked up.
Yeah. Can I add something about points?
Please do.
Not just like, because I think Suresh was saying something great about why points make sense in Web3. And I feel like we've seen like how airdrops and pass rewards were simply distributed to like almost randomly. Like if you use the protocol, then you can get a lot of money like Uniswap. And I think instead points are a perfect system to better distribute rewards. Now, so obviously you need to be aware of CBILs and stuff like that, but with points you can actually give rewards based on how much somebody contributed. Like for example, somebody let's take Zest for example. Like if you deposit 1 million on Zest, you should be rewarded with something bigger than somebody that deposited just 10 STX. So like points are an evolution, I would say, of past way to distribute rewards. And I think it's going to be super exciting to see how points will evolve also in the future to effectively, let's say, better distribute tokens, rewards, whatever you want. And so, yeah, I like it's just more general thought about points and how we're going to evolve from here.
Yeah, and I see it. I mean, obviously, it's a tremendous marketing opportunity. It's a way to kind of promote your project to the community and get people to participate. And it's fun, right? It's fun. It's light. It's easy, and like Resh also mentioned, it's because it's kind of not defined or clear. It leaves this like kind of mystery, so it kind of piques the interest a little bit too. It's a good marketing tool, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I participate in all these platforms. I don't have, I don't have a tremendous amount of liquidity out there, so I'm got some rewards for those. Oh, did I lose? Hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh.
You're frozen. I can hear you.
Me too.
Okay, I got a notification. It said on my screen that I was I lost my connection. Okay, great. So you can still hear me through that at least. It's just video, which is fine. The less I move, then maybe the ugly goes away a little bit anyway. Jack, I don't know. So how are things, man? I know you got some really cool some cool news the other day. I don't know if that's public.
No, it can be. Like that's cool. I found out I was going to be a grandfather, so that's really exciting because I started having kids in my early 20s and wanted to be a young dad, so now I get to see what it's like to be a young granddad. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome, man. I'm excited for you. I'm very excited for you. I'm not there yet expecting anything imminent, but I got my oldest is 28. I was not quite 20 when I started having children, and I had two just as I turned 20, and my oldest is 28 and married. I have two married kids. I have my 27-year-old son actually has a very good, strong girlfriend. So I'm expecting to be a granddad soon, and I'm super excited about it. And I just saw the smile on your face when I first kind of hinted at it. So congratulations, man. I think you're going to be an awesome grandpa.
It's going to be cool, man. My oldest boy ain't even been married a year yet. I said, look, man, just give you and your wife like a year before you do this. But they couldn't wait. But that's all right. That's cool. Like I'll make sure they get their date nights. We got this covered. I'll have that kid degenerate in no time.
I don't think any of us is surprised that Jack Ben Switch's son works quickly, right?
we got a really cool discussion here, man. Like when you think about everything that everyone's talked about, this all goes back to the same things that we've been talking about as a community for a very long time. And you're finally starting to see these things come to fruition. And you're starting to see these things come to fruition in a time where people are finally starting to notice that you actually need these things, right? We're living in a world where you're going to either potentially wind up with a boot on your face, or you're going to be living like a pirate in a parallel economy, right? You're going to be living in a parallel system. And these parallel systems, they have to be decentralized. And you have to be able to do things with Bitcoin that is more than just, I'm going to hold some Bitcoin so that Wall Street will make me rich one day. That's not really the point, right? But so it's very cool seeing all of these things coalesce, right? You just like Stacks brings smart contracts to Bitcoin. Now you have Stacks bringing more functionality to something like Nostr. Then you have Stacking DAO, which opens up a whole new just bunch of options for what you can do with your actual digital currency, in this case being stacks, what you can do with it. Not, again, it's all the same principle. We're just going and we're spreading it out a little bit now. And then you have Zest, which you have now. You're bringing all kind of financial services to everybody, right? And so what does it look like when the guy in Africa with the Boom wallet, who all of a sudden gets to keep that extra 15% that he's been spending, and now he has access to tools like Zest or tools like Stacking DAO, where he can take that 15% and build more and improve other people's situations and create ultimately a better world for everybody. And speaking as someone who does this, I'm Gen X. There's not a whole lot of Gen X people in crypto, right? Like if I look at my followers, most of my followers are in their 30s and 20s, right? You got a handful of them, and I think we all come on podcasts together that's all in their 40s, right? Like, we do this for the other generations anyway. And so when you see all of these things happening, it's all coming together in just the right way. But it's got to be bulletproof, man. And as long as it's built on Bitcoin, it's bulletproof. And that's what we need. So it's very cool to be here. I don't even have to say anything about Rue or Sax Invaders or anything like that. Like this is the conversation that needs to be had. And this is like, when you get back to like, user experience and everything, that's coming because it's way better than it used to be. And ultimately, in a few years, people are going to use crypto in their everyday lives and probably not even know what chain they're using. They're just going to be pressing buttons on whatever their phone is or whatever device has become like a phone to them at that point. And do all of these things. But this is what has to be done, because we're really at a place where, it is so obvious that centralization leads you to one place and this decentralization leads you somewhere else. And if you want to have actual freedom to choose, you need that decentralization path open, or else you're just shoehorned into the same system.
It's never going to be all one or all the other. It's about finding the proper balance, and also making sure that people have the option to choose. Right now, our social order really doesn't have consent baked in. No. We don't have a consensual exchange, even if you have a right to vote, but the process is so detached or separated from the average person that it's not really a real choice. You don't have we don't have consent in governance. We don't really have consent in a lot of the marketplace because it's very centralized and detached from us. Right. So we need these rails. You're absolutely right. These rails are being built to transform the capacity of individuals to consent in their transactional daily lives. And, thank you all. All of you guys are doing tremendous work building these projects out and giving us functional stuff that it's not all bulletproof yet, right? And maybe it never will be completely bulletproof. We're always going to be trying to increase our processes and tighten our screws. And maybe it won't be a phone. It'll be a new device. There'll be new technologies developed. And AI will be incorporated. And how do we protect that? And how do we audit AI? That's probably going to happen on the blockchain too. It's really actually incredible to see it happening, because it is happening. It's happening right now.
No, and it's 15 years from now, life is going to be so unrecognizable for someone that if they were just put into a coma today and woke up 15 years from now, it's going to look a lot different. But I truly believe that what we're doing here now is going to play a difference in what that future looks like. Because if you don't have control of something as important as money, right? If we don't separate money from the state at its very core, if you don't have basic expectations of privacy, if you don't have choice, what does that look like in 15 years? It looks like, a dystopian novel, right? But what can it look like with Bitcoin being the core driver of a new way to do things? It could be completely different, but either way, it's going to be unrecognizable. That's how pivotal this is right now, and things like AI are going to play a huge part in that. But if we do not continue, if we continue to just do the same thing we're doing, we can already see where it's going to go. So like the way I look at crypto, the way I look at Bitcoin, the way I look at all this stuff is it's time to burn the boats. Like there is no, what are you going to go back to? You're going to go back to Shithead Island because that's where we're headed. This is all getting quite silly. But what we really want to do is just make a better option for people. And we want to be able to elevate people all over the planet, because the reality is if you have hard money, if you have cheap energy, I don't care where you are on planet Earth, everybody wins. Everyone's standard of living just went up. And that's why you see embedded power fighting so hard, especially on those two fronts with cheap energy and hard money, because that's where you hit them where it hurts. So as cool as it is that I can take my STX and I can do this different stuff with it and wind up with yield or wind up with this, that, or the other, and have traditional financial services on a blockchain, that's all amazing. But just zoom out and look at it from a bigger picture and recognize that what we're doing here the efforts need to be doubled. They need to be tripled. We need to be able to make this, right now, if you just want to live on Bitcoin, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And you've got maxis with their fingers up their bums, just being like, well, number go up, I'm happy, everything in crypto sucks except Bitcoin. And it's nonsense. Right.
I don't think there's really a maxi opinion on anything is contrary to decentralization in general, right? I mean, how can you be like there's only one way and also be in favor of being decentralized? They're mutually exclusive concepts.
They're nerds looking for an identity. These are people that would go to Star Wars movie premieres dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like they need something to latch onto. But like what we're trying to do.
I love Star Wars, by the way.
I love Star Wars too, and
I love Star
think
Wars
it's
too.
But the point is that we need to be doubling and tripling our efforts. Like right now, this is a pivotal moment, and it's so cool to see these things happening. There just needs to be more of us.
Yes, and there is a movement, definitely in the Stacks community. By the way, I started doing this out of D grants, and I started doing this out of I only started following D grants because I was curious about what was going on with Stacks, and they were having all those spaces, and in participating in the spaces, I found a voice, and I would come up and I would ask questions, and then I was trying to promote more participation in D grants, and I went through the application process because I'm like, well, if I'm trying to tell people to apply, I should do an application, and now we have deorganized, and we've created this media thing to kind of help promote the space. And also out of that, Good Kitty's building her Stacks link, and that's going to be, you guys are going to start hearing more about that very soon. There's a tremendous number of leaders. Haddy's involved. Hero Gamer, who's in the comments shouting us out, is involved. Trippin' Monkey's involved. I think he was commenting. Just a bunch of people in there providing support and resources for people building, creators, developers, building in the space. And part of it is also creating tools for onboarding and materials and content for making sure that when people do onboard newly to the space, that they're having good experiences and they're staying here. This is happening. people are putting in the work. We are making this. What I'm experiencing in this space the last 3 months, and that's where I've been more engaged myself, is that there's something going on in the Stacks community, in the broader Bitcoin ecosystem as well, and in crypto in general. But I find that I do think Bitcoin is the preeminent blockchain. I mean, I think we're all that's why we're in Stacks, right? We support Bitcoin. But it seems like the people building in Bitcoin and building on Stacks in particular too they all exemplify the decentralization ethos, the values that were behind the creation of Bitcoin. Sound money, censorship resistance, open, trustless exchange. Bobby Kennedy was talking about this recently. Not our censorship and the freedom of speech, which does need to be preserved, but part of that is transaction is speech. Spending money is speech. It's the same thing. If you can't transact, you can't communicate. Yes, I want that. You want to sell this. I'm going to give you this value. It's a communications of value. That's what an exchange is, the right to transact. And if that doesn't get preserved, it's over. We don't even get to choose who we marry, what to eat, who we're going to have children with, who will be our grandkids. We don't get to choose that if we don't have the right to transact protected. And that's the fundamental of what's being built here. Yes, we're building a community. Yes, we need to onboard people. Yes, we're building these awesome tools. But the purpose of it is to build a better society, a better, more open society for everybody. And I'm very encouraged personally by all of your efforts and what you guys are producing. I'm really excited about it. To be honest, I'm very encouraged. I think we're there. Dan at Hero Gamer has actually been shouting you guys out. He really loved the ST Stacks comparison to Stacks to Bitcoin. We got a lot of people, and Dan Trevino just said hello to you guys. Oh, I think looks like Haddy or Nick is putting up the comments. There is a second best. I agree, Hero. I think Stacks is the second best blockchain to Bitcoin, personally, and maybe even better. We'll see. Doesn't have to be Bitcoin, does it?
You're gonna be crucified for that.
I like being controversial. Bring it. I'll have the conversation. I'll play the foil. Stacks is better than Bitcoin. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's an interesting take. I would say. Like, again, Stacks amplify Bitcoin capabilities, so, and by a lot. So you could argue that somehow, I'm not saying it right or wrong, but you could argue that Stacks is better than Bitcoin simply because it makes it way more useful than it actually is.
I agree. I don't really actually feel that Stacks is necessarily better than Bitcoin, but I think you could make some arguments based on. Oh, got a little feedback there. I really don't think that Stacks is necessarily better than Bitcoin, but you make a good point as far as the functionality that Stacks is bringing to Bitcoin. I mean, that's tremendously exciting. There's a lot of stuff we're doing, and SBTC coming. That's going to be an absolute game changer. The amount of functionality that's going to, and the yield that people are going to be able to get out of their Bitcoin from SBTC is going to be amazing.
Here, guys, I got to jump off, but dude, thanks for having me.
Oh, is it? You guys are getting up against the. So I know Haddy and Jack both have to go and jump into the Leather Lounge, but I'm happy to continue the conversation if you guys want to keep going, Or if you guys have to run, and we can always do. You guys are always welcome on another time. Why don't we go through and have some last words, guys that have to go? You guys can bounce out. And thank you, Jack, for coming on. Thank you, Haddy, for being here, working the chat. And I'm gonna go around the table. If you guys have anything else you want to chat about, we can certainly keep going, and or just say a final word. Let's go, Noam. What's your take on the discussion today, man?
What is my take on what? Sorry, couldn't hear the last word.
What's your take on the conversation today? Anything to add? Any final word?
No, maybe we can continue with this topic. Like, it started as a joke about stacks amplifying Bitcoin capabilities. I just want to conclude about how excited I'm about stacks. We've seen a lot of excitement about Bitcoin L2s, and with Zest enabling BTC lending and borrowing by Velar, which is building perp DEX and DEX, and like we're gonna finally have a true Bitcoin economy activated in the next months and years. And like everybody wanted Bitcoin to succeed. I think that right now we have the best shot ever to actually make Bitcoin more decentralized and even more useful. So just want to conclude about how excited I am about building this ecosystem and trying to make Bitcoin more accessible and more useful.
Yeah, I concur. I'm very, very excited about stacks. And I'm not a maxi. I do love stacks and I love the ecosystem. I love the people building here, but there are other things being built on Bitcoin that are also very interesting. I love the ordinals community and the BRC20. I think the runes stuff is really cool. The DMT on Bitcoin stuff. We now have DMT development on stacks. Too bad Jack just left, but I mean that stuff that they did breaking through with the Stacks Invaders was extremely cool and innovative and different. And there's all this stuff coming all the time. So yeah, I agree. Off my lawn, man. How have you and what are your takeaways on this conversation, and what do you think about where things are going?
Yeah, I actually have to dip too, but real quick, I think this is a great conversation. It's always great to talk to minds that are building awesome projects on stacks. I do think that we're on the bleeding edge of blockchain technology, and I believe building on Bitcoin is the only thing to do. Like, if you're not building on Bitcoin, you're probably wasting your time. And freedom to transact is such an underrated concept. And it needs to be discussed more, and it needs to be pushed more, because if we don't have the freedom to transact, we have nothing. So, I agree with everything that was said here, and it was fantastic sharing the stage with all these chads. And I hope to see you guys on Twitter, and hope to come back again at some time. But I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's my pleasure. I've been chatting with you a lot more recently leading up to this. I've been also checking out the Zest Discord. Great group of people in there. Good vibe there. I love it. So thank you for coming. And yeah, the right to transact is actually paramount to this whole thing. And we need to keep preserving that. So thank you. And Rash, man, I'm so glad we finally got a chance to chat. I had never talked to you before. I think you're an awesome dude, and I've loved the conversation and what you've brought. And give me some insights as to how you're feeling about the conversation and where you think we're going.
Okay. I truly enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for having me on. I'll cover two bases. I think one is going to be a huge thing once Nakamoto gets confirmed in 2 weeks' time. I think Velar, if you have not used Velar before, please go and try it out. It's very heavily, there's a lot of features we're building, to be honest, that I don't think anybody is even ready yet. The perp tax is a game changer. We're going to be servicing multiple L2s, so liquidity will be there. If you have not used the AMM functionality, go and use it. In my opinion, it's the best, but I'm biased, right? I work for Velar. But just look at how we focus on community efforts there. If you want to build anything, just get in touch with me, get in touch with Peter, the CMO. We'll help you in terms of you don't know what to do. Don't worry, just come. We'll help you. We'll guide you in terms of how to launch your event tokens as well on Velar. Now, that's why I'm excited for the 5 seconds for Nakamoto for Perp Dex. Now, I'm also excited for what Dan is building on Boom, because I really believe it's a game changer. It's more than just a wallet what he's building. He's going to be building a commerce functionality. It's literally going to be potential telecommunications element involved in it. It's truly a game changer. If you know anything about Dan, he's too humble to brag at all or even to tell you how good he is. I've seen him how he builds, and I'm telling you, this dude doesn't stop building. Now, I would strongly suggest if you haven't, please sign up at boom.money to join the wait list. We'll tell you when the alpha product is going to be out, and you can download it straight away. The first 2 versions that Dan is looking at building is honestly so dope in terms of functionality. I think you will love it. I know I'm going to love it because I've been talking to him so often. We talk daily, to be honest, and it's going to be dope. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think absolutely 100%. Velar, people should absolutely be trying it out. It's a very cool app. It functions very well. Just even trading on there, the liquidity pools work really well. There's a lot of trading pairs on there that you might not have on for especially some of the meme coins you guys have on there that other people don't. I love Velar, and interesting. The perp deck's not ready yet, right? It's not. Is that launched?
No, it's not launched yet. It's coming in the next couple of weeks.
After fast blocks, after the Nakamoto upgrade completes.
We'll be launching on multiple L2s, to be honest. Stacks will be one of them. Bitley is another one. Bob is another one. So when we launch, it's going to be covering a range of different L2s, to be honest. And that's why I say it's going to be fascinating. For the first time, you'll be able to do perp transactions on Bitcoin directly.
Yeah, wow, that's nuts. And yeah, Boom is more than a wallet. I actually think it might have been Haddy. I don't remember who I was talking to, where I think it actually almost doesn't make sense to call it a wallet because it's just a tremendous it's an app. It's like almost like a super crypto app, really, like an all-encompassing crypto app. I know Noam has to drop off, but I do want to also shout out Zest Protocol, Stacking DAO. Use these, try them out. They're really great projects. Velar, obviously, sign up for the wait list for Boom Wallet. I am on that wait list as well. Haddy, you got any final words? I know you got to jump too, and no.
Yeah, no, I'm on the other space, but it's all good. I just want to say thank you to everyone who came on today. I know Jack's left. It was awesome to have Jack here. Obviously, to have the protocols on and the DeFi protocols and have them actually explain what they do is of immense value to everyone. And I want to echo what Jack said, and he said it continuously when he comes on the spaces on our pod. We are building for the future. We are building for the future, the generations that come after us. And what you guys are building is so good. And you're not just building for North America. And that's what I love about it. And Jack brings it up often. We're building for the entire planet. And that's what I love. These protocols are going to touch people in places that we can't even imagine at the moment. So I really want to thank you guys for your hard work and what you're doing. I learned so much today. And as always, Peace, the host with the most. Thank you for today. And Resh, I'm definitely catching up with you tomorrow. So everyone, if you can make it, Nakamoto Fridays are an amazing place to be. And I have learned a tremendous amount just listening there. I've fallen asleep often in the spaces, which happens because it's so late for me. But c'est la vie.
Hey, you have good dreams that way, right? Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I'm dreaming a Boom wallet.
Yeah, me too, man. I think we all are at this point. I know, like Resh mentioned music, and I know that Kitty's talking to Dan about stuff. Good Kitty is talking to Dan about stuff. Sandy was in the space. We had the music. Their Art on Stack space on Tuesday was all about music, and Boom Wallet comes up a lot everywhere. It's really interesting what he's working on. It's something that's very needed in the space, and it's going to be a game changer. I could talk around all of these subjects all day, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know that you guys have. I really appreciate everyone coming on today. Resh, thank you so much. Noam just dropped out. I know he's run it. He had a run. Hattie, thank you so much. Jack, Ben, Switch, all the people that were chatting in the side. Off my lawn.
And thanks to Nick in the background.
And always Bitcoin Live. None of this is possible without Nick and Bitcoin Live, and the tremendous opportunity that they've gave us to host these and put this all together. And it's really, I think it's providing a lot of value for the community and a lot of value for the projects that come on here. And I have a great time. I get to meet all these people like Resh. I'm looking forward to talking with you more often, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate both projects that you're working on. And Deorganized. We'll keep doing this. Check out the morning updates. I come on. I say good morning every day. I think I might be having another longer form with Jack tomorrow, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure what his timing is because we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet. Spaces on Wednesday. And definitely check out Nakamoto Friday tomorrow night, because I know that there's some stuff that's going to be very interesting talking about there tomorrow. And thank you guys all again. I appreciate you. I really do. And you have a great night. And Nick, please take us out.
Thanks.